Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
That's good. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for sharing your testimony on Life Hurt Podcast. I really appreciate you to be so transparent on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's
Thank you. So, first and foremost, I would like for you to tell me a little bit about yourself.
okay. I have one daughter. I'm a grandmother, a caregiver. My father turned 90 today.
Oh,
And I have a brother. I'm a certified grief coach and an inspiring entrepreneur.
oh wow. Congratulations on all of that.
Thank
Keep yourself busy, huh?
Yes, I do.
So, what inspired you to be a part of No More Residue?
I was inspired to do No More Residue when I saw Crystal advertise. She had put the promotion out for the No More Residue anthology, and I had met Crystal doing midnight ministry, and I had took a course called Rock Your Confidence
Mhm.
because at, I met her at that pivotal time as to when I was like coming out and dealing with my fear of death and dying. And from 2014 on, it just was like a pivotal moment. And it just seemed like God just placed Crystal and the courses that I I took. It just took me to another level.
Wow. So, what was it that you were fearing to of death? What had your mind go into that position for you to even have that thought process?
Well, in 2014, my mother passed away,
Oh,
but just watching her and being a caregiver for her and just watching that transition of letting her die at home, it just brought back like memories that I had held up for so long and no one never knew like what I was holding in. I would go to a funeral and I would just be afraid, just afraid of death.
wow.
And nobody knew that I was like afraid of dying and just watching people die.
Wow. So what was it like you just had like you shut down, you have an anxiety? What is the what are the actions that you took?
Oh, um, I got so sick that I was afraid to stay in the house by myself. I was afraid to drive. I was afraid to eat. It took like three people to take me to the doctors. Somebody actually had to hold my hand. And sometimes they would have to stop the car and I would have to actually get out the car and they would like let me breathe and just like try to calm me down. I had just broke totally down.
Wow. I'm sorry that you even like go through that. And you say you even went through like not being able to accept rejection?
Yes. It wasn't until 2014 when I was 55 years old and all my whole life I thought I was living my life. But
Mhm.
when the death of my mother um arose, it wasn't until 2014 when I really started living my life.
Wow. So what held you back from living your life way before then?
You know, I never even realized that I wasn't living my life. I had always been like shy and quiet and timid,
Mhm.
and I had been abused when I was younger. And I just held all those secrets in till for 55 years. And in 2014, when I turned 55, and I met Crystal, that's when I started just peeling off layer after layer after layer.
Wow. And that's a lot to take on. So what are the actions that you took for you to even be feeling like you like feel rejected from people? What are the things that you did for yourself?
Well, first I had to go to counseling because if I didn't go to counseling, I wouldn't have been able to survive. She had to teach me how to like cope, just cope with driving and cope with just getting back into society. And then when I met Crystal with the Rock Your Confidence course,
Mm-hmm.
Crystal would make us look in the mirror every day. And I just started building up my confidence. And it wasn't until one day the course was almost over and I decided to go to the graveyard. And the day I went to the graveyard, that was just, it was just a breakthrough. And from then on, I've just been peeling layer after layer off with fear, rejection,
Wow.
and lack of self love.
Wow. So with the I know as far as you know, I lost my mother too. And my thing is anger. Mine just anger at the moment. And it's like you gotta pace yourself. But it's like sometimes you don't realize a lot of things until you lose a parent. And
Yes,
you be like, man, how did this happen? How did like what direction do I go? It's like they play such a huge part of your life and you don't figure out so many things until they pass away. So and you just shifted your whole life into someone else.
yes, I had to because it was either live or die. And I didn't, and I had too much that I knew I had to live for. And
Wow.
when I met Crystal, it was like I was even getting trying to grow closer to God. I always knew God, but it's like she just helped me grow closer. I just was like yearning for more and more.
How did you realize that you had a story?
I started off with my first story of people pleasing. So just like I said, I had to peel off layer after layer after layer. And in doing this anthology, it helped me like peel off like the last layer that I needed to peel off in order to heal. And I didn't even realize it at the time.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing, and especially what you saying your last layer. What was what part of the layer that you felt like I know passing your mom was something. What's another part of your layer that you knew it was out of your character or something that you wouldn't be doing?
Fear of rejection, fear of just being alone, just going from relationship to relationship to relationship. And it just wasn't getting me anywhere. They were abusive and I just tolerated just to have someone, just to feel comfort, and just to think that I was being loved, but I wasn't loved.
Right. So when you say rejection, could you go more in depth? Like, how was your rejection defined? What was the things that you were being rejected of?
I'm gonna say rejected of the love that I desired,
Hmm.
the love of just being who I knew I who I knew who I didn't know I wanted to be or could be. It was just it was just so hurtful and so damaging that I just never knew. It's just like I held all of that in for years.
Wow. So when you were dating, like, and you were going from man to man, what was the feelings that you were having when you were going to that? What were you looking for?
I was looking for love in the wrong places. I got married. I've been married twice, and I got married when I was 19. And when we 19, we think we grown. So I think I was running away from home, just thinking I was grown and I was ready. And the
Mm-hmm.
second time it was 25, but all the signs were there. But I did it anyway. Just like I said, looking for love in the wrong places. Just not having enough self-love for myself.
Wow. So when you say all the signs were there, what were some of the signs that you saw when you were basically denying the signs and you just kept going with that person?
I could turn my head and just be looking, and he would like accuse me of looking at someone. And he was in the military, and on the day he was leaving for South Dakota, because I packed up and I moved to South Dakota with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know how women, we have that instinct. It was
Yes.
an instinct that told me to just go over to his apartment, because he had gave me the key to finish shipping all the rest of his furniture and everything. And when I walked in, he was with another woman.
Wow. That's painful, especially for you to see it and you done picked up everything and you came there to be with them.
Yes.
So after that transpired, what did you end up doing?
I ended up moving to South Dakota, but we only stayed married for 6 months, and I came back.
Wow. So is that where a lot of your rejection came in and your sadness also when you say that you were going from man to man all the time?
Yes. Yes. I thought it made me happy, but really deep down inside, it didn't make me happy, because the relationships were so toxic and very abusive. My two husbands, it was physical abuse and mental abuse.
Wow. And how long were you with your second husband?
My second husband was 6 months, and my first husband was 2 years.
Oh wow. That's that's a lot, especially the fact that you've been going through all of that. What are the steps that you took once you got away from the relationship and you started to, you know, trying to get yourself together? How much of a struggle was that?
Um, it was a struggle, but I always had the attitude that it was always somebody out there for me. So I never really looked deep down inside to try to figure out what what was holding me back.
Wow. So what are you trying to reach in your audience for individuals to read your chapter in No More Residue?
I'm trying to take that word grief and use it to help women, not use it as the word death and grief, but use it as grief as far as relationships, loss of a job, loss of a friendship.
Hmm.
I just loss of low self-esteem. I just want to take that word grief and help build women up in a different aspect. I just want to, I guess, use a different analogy, just use it differently than deaf and dying. I just want to use my grief coaching as helping women to be better, and to know that you don't have to tolerate
That, that's
anything
so
from
true.
anybody.
Yes, that is so true. And you know, a lot of people when some people when they hear grief, they think of grief only has something to do with the death of a close family member or something. And a
Yes,
lot of people don't know grief covers all areas of everything that has to do with us of us taking a loss somewhere.
yes,
So it could be a painful process, but we have to make sure that we get the help that we need so that we can overcome those feelings. And that's what I do myself, so I could overcome a lot of things and also remove this anger spirit out of me.
Yeah, because you have to forgive. And I had to learn how to forgive myself no matter what my past was, what mistakes I do now and have done. It's like first I just had to forgive myself. And then I had to ask God, can you just please forgive me?
Right. So how do you feel about people knowing this?
I'm not ashamed. At first I was ashamed because I had to go to counseling, but then I put myself back into counseling, but I went with a Christian male counselor because I wanted to use a male because I wanted to dig even further in my reasoning as to why I I put myself in these situations.
Wow. So when you say you were ashamed of counseling, what do you mean by that?
I felt like people thought it was something wrong with me because I had to go to counseling and I also had to take medicine for anxiety. And in the black community or in communities, people look at it as a negative stigma.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like ashamed of how people would look at me. But then it's just like I'm just not ashamed of anything anymore because we all have a past and we just never know what we may face, each
Wow.
and every one of us, and we can survive. And I just want to show people that you can survive and you can overcome.
You could definitely overcome. And I commend you for even going to counseling because, like you said, a lot of people don't want to go. They feel like it's an embarrassment to the family or embarrassment to yourself. And they start, that people down talk you when you go to counseling sometimes. But they don't know that language that they're speaking when it comes to getting counseling, that's a sign of them needing it.
Yes,
And they
that's
don't
so
even
true.
realize it. Yes, seriously. And that's good that you chose a male so you can get a male perspective on yourself as a woman, because sometimes it does it be a different feeling when you hear both sides from a female to a male, and you're like, wow, I never knew that.
Yes.
Yes. So how will your story help other women?
I want my story to just let women know it's okay to just be you and to know that broken crayons they still color, but even though we might not can put the crayons back together because they're broken, we still can survive. We still can survive, but just inherit and focus on just finishing what you start.
Yes, that's so true. Because a lot of people don't know how to finish what they start. They give up.
And I was one of them.
Really?
Yes, I was.
So what made you keep giving up, and what made you say, I'm not giving up no more?
Because my mother, this sticks with me. My mother always would tell me, you never finish what you start. And those words ring in my head today. And even though she's not here with me, I know that I'm on a journey that I've never been on before. And since I I'm in this anthology with the other 16 women. It's no, I really realized that you're never alone. You think you're
Mhm.
alone. I know we have God or whatever you may believe in a higher power. I'm not sure, but I believe in God. And all this time, you think, oh, I went through this. Oh, I went through that. And you by yourself. But you never alone.
No, no, you definitely never alone. And it's just you have to be obedient. You really do. And it be so hard because we can find ourselves being extremely stubborn
Yes.
and think we know everything.
Yeah.
We'll find ourselves thinking we know everything, we know all the solutions and everything when sometimes most of the time we don't. And needed to get ourselves together mentally and physically. So for you to even encounter that takes a lot, a whole lot.
Thank you. Being in this anthology has been so freeing for me. It was like I felt free, but it's like I'm 61 years old and I feel free. It's
That's
just like after this anthology, it's like the weight, a weight is lifted off of me.
wow. And that's good. And just think how many women even in your age range, if they realize they self-worth, they realize how much they should love themselves, they've realized how much God loves them, and they forgive themselves from the things that they've done in their past, they will have that same feeling just like you have.
Yes.
So to you, with if we do have older women watching, what advice could you give them right now for them to even find that peace within their lives? Because a lot of people are battling a lot of things.
Number one is to put your trust and faith in God. Be true to yourself. You have to be true to yourself. And it's okay to know that you're not alone and to just continue to be the best that you can be. You may not be where you want to be, but there's always hope.
Yes,
Always, always hope.
yes. And
Always.
sometimes we look for perfection in our lives when who wants to be perfect? I personally I wouldn't want to be around a perfect person. I'd rather be around a person that has imperfections so that we can grow and heal each other along the way, or even check each other. Like, hey, look, get it together and respect it.
Yes. Yes. And it's just one more thing I want to leave or just have people have everyone to ponder on. Sometimes it's good to release and detach from every person in every circumstance and every condition that no longer serves a divine purpose in your life.
Oh, that's so true. That is so true. And sometimes we hold on to people because we have relationships with them and we've known them for 20, 30 years. But just because we've known them that long, it doesn't mean that they are supposed to be in our lives for that long. Because
Right.
sometimes they could be the blessing that we have coming and they're blocking it because they're not supposed to be there to even witness it.
Yes. So true. So
Yes.
true. And I've had to change my circle and I've had to cut. But it feels good.
I bet it. I bet
It feels
it.
so good.
So what when you cut and like as far as like how old you are and everything, how long did it take you to actually see who was for you and against you, even when you were going through so much?
To be honest, it like in my 50s and 60s. That's how long it has taken me. Just like I said, I thought all those years I was living my life. And my daughter, we have a saying, and some people may, take it wrong, but she would be like, Ma, she said, you was something in your younger days. Like that. Me and her have an ongoing joke, and we just laugh about it. But, you know, I didn't realize how hurt I was,
Mm-hmm.
how
Wow.
hurt I was. And I can actually say that I'm living my life.
Wow. So what do you have to say to those people that say still stuck on your past?
I was who I was. And forgive me if I hurt you, and I forgive you.
Mm-hmm. It's like you got to keep moving forward. If
Yeah.
you if you don't forgive, like you can forgive a person without their existence. You can forgive them and you can just sit there and forgive yourself. But you can't keep dwelling on something.
No, you can't. You
Like
can't.
if it's gonna hurt you so bad if you want to continue to dwell on something over and over and over and over and over again. Like if you hear it, just keep saying over and over and over and over. You're like, shut up. And that's how it be when people want to keep going, like from you going through something with them or you done something when you were 18 and then now you are 60 some years old, you still talking about that, you still stuck on, you still back there mentally. So that's those feelings that people have and the healing that they don't know how to cope with. It's like, I'm past it, why you can't get past it?
That's true. That's true.
And sometimes we look for things out of a person that we will never get. We just have to accept that we won't get it.
Yeah, that's the truth. 100%.
Yes, we gotta accept it and keep moving forward with our lives and make sure that we continue to surround ourselves with people that will build us up and uplift us and guide us in the right direction and give us that peace that should be there in our lives. And some people like the chaotic life.
That's
We
true.
we can't continue to have that chaotic life like that.
That's true. So true.
So what advice can you give a woman that is battling, going from man to man, trying to find love when they are connecting these soul ties to even make themselves hurt even more?
It's okay to be alone. It's okay to be by yourself. You always you always have God, and it's just okay to be by yourself. It took me a long time to realize that it was okay for me to be by myself, that I'm really not by myself, but I'm fine in my with my own company. Be
Yeah.
fine with your own, be fine, learn how to be fine with your own company. Be fine with you. Your flaws, your beauty, just be happy with you.
Mm-hmm. And that's just so hard for people to do because we have that need, that want that we have when we have to cleanse our bodies up, because when we have sexual relationships with men, whatever women that they mess with now or before then, that spirit of that woman is going into us and everybody else to a point. It's going to keep having us in that same place where we are trying to get out of. And usually it'll make us even worse.
It does.
Yes, and it make us keep crying out for help. It's like we need help to heal. We need help for ourselves. Did you find yourself feeling that way too?
No, I didn't, because I guess I just didn't realize it. I just felt like, oh, okay, I'm just going I just never had trouble meeting anybody. So I guess I just would go with the flow. It was one, and then here comes another one. I would be okay. But then it's like I wasn't happy inside.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy inside.
Yeah, and when women get to that point, we find ourselves having that male mentality. And when we have that male mentality, it's like we will want you just for sex too, and we just want to leave. And let me just go on to the next one because I'm just getting things that I want for that moment to take my mind off the things that I'm dealing with.
That's true.
Yeah, and that part right there is where we need to not have no sexual relationships with men because we have to cleanse our soul and cleanse our body so that we won't endure too much more that's coming into inside of us.
Yes.
So how do you feel now that you're overcoming that you overcame so much like right now and you're getting ready to even live your life even more once people grab the book and read it?
It's like I said, it's just I just feel free. And I've had some of my relatives even comment, I like you now better than I did before. And I'm like, hmm. And they like, I like you because you smile, you make us laugh. I guess they can just see the freedom that
Yes.
and the glow that I have just changed my life. I have just like let it go.
Wow. How do you feel knowing? How did you feel when they say that? Do it make you feel like, wow, I really was in a dark place? And now it's like I have this whole light shining over me of healing and just so much freedom.
At first to be honest, I got offended. But then after I sat back and I looked, I was like, wow. When I look back at my pictures, I didn't smile much. And and just knowing I was so shy and withdrawn. Everybody would talk but me. I would just sit there and listen. But now I've just changed.
Yeah, seriously, even with you talking about your testimony, you still smiling. Cause it's like it don't even bother you no more because you surpassed all of that. And now you have a mission to help other women and let them know their self-worth. And now you're doing just that.
Yes.
So what advice could you give women?
Mm. Just like I just keep saying, just be true to yourself. If you need help, get help, and try not to let the your secrets haunt you.
Yes.
Sometimes it's good to release your secrets, and sometimes it's good to hide your secrets. But you must know how to balance what secrets to keep and what secrets to let go.
Yeah.
Because when you hold those deep, dark secrets of fear, rejection, lust, all kinds of different fears, it'll keep you bound.
Yes. Yes. You won't have that freedom that you have right now.
Yes.
So could you tell our listeners how can they purchase your book?
Yes, you can purchase my book on www.nomoreresidue.com /Celeste.
Wow. That's good. So everyone, please, y'all gotta get No More Residue because this book is amazing. If you haven't caught up with the different testimonies that the women share, please go on to Life Her Podcast website. You could go onto YouTube. You can even watch snippets of it and everything. These women are sharing something that's so valuable and so important for us to know exactly what goes on in women's lives. And we are in a season of uplifting each other and inspiring each other. And No More Residue is doing that right now. And I want you guys to literally pre-order your copy today, because I'm sure any story of these women, I'm sure you're gonna relate to something.
Yeah.
And that's for sure, because I'm, even with me sitting talking to every single one of y'all, it's like pieces of something
Yeah.
that I've been through myself. And it don't even have to just be your whole story. It's gonna be something in that piece. And
It's
that's
that's
what,
the truth.
yes. And
That's the truth.
women have to realize that you can't look at a woman's story and side eye her, but yet it's other stories out there that you can relate to and you can grasp from. Even though that woman says something different, you still need to know that you can learn from her.
Yeah. And do you know what I realized? That some of the stories that the women shared, it's like I can relate because
Yeah.
I might have been there and done that too.
Mhm.
But I
Like
just haven't
seriously.
shared that side of my story yet.
Yes,
So, you know,
seriously.
hmm
Like seriously, because even when we talking, I'm like, dang, I went through that too. It's like you don't realize something until you actually hear someone say it.
yes,
It's because we bury things so much and for so long, it's like those wounds end up opening back up. And I know that's how each and every one of you felt when you started to write your story, and you like, man, I didn't even know I was this terrible at that moment, when I was just so down and just rejecting God so much. I was being bad to him.
yes,
He was whooping my butt.
yes. hmm
So just think how many times God gave us whoopings from us not listening.
Yes. And Yvette, can I say one more thing? I just
Yeah.
want to thank Crystal for her obedience
Oh yes.
to just um just obeying what God has you to do. Because by me working under you, it has brought me a long way. And you made me put my big girl panties on.
What was it more in depth? Like, what was it like working with Crystal?
Crystal just has Crystal is just Crystal, and I admire her strength and I admire her obedience. And when you work with Crystal, you either do it or it's just up to you. You make the choice. You either do it or you fail.
Wow.
So
That's that's
so we want to be obedient. So just following our leader, and she's a good coach. If anybody would like a coach, a mentor, it's
yes.
it's just awesome.
Yes, she is an amazing woman, and I just love how you guys just acknowledge her and support her. That it seems like a lot, but it really isn't a lot. It's just sometimes women make it a lot, because everybody have to realize we all have the spotlight together. It's just your insecurities that won't let everyone have it at the same time.
That's true. That's true. And it's an awesome group of women, and
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying the fellowship and the new sisters that I have. I
Yeah.
have I'm gonna say from another mother or father that I have adopted.
Well, look, I ain't about to let y'all leave me out, because y'all my sisters, aunties,
I know.
y'all everything too. Because it's like y'all so inspiring. You so uplifting, and if somebody got to get this, everybody to get this book, and it's gonna take y'all far. I know for a fact y'all gonna get bestseller right
Thank
with
you.
the song.
And thank you for having us and sharing your platform to let
Oh,
us tell our stories.
yes,
It's a pleasure.
definitely. I would even love to talk to you guys again after everyone has read it, and you guys can even go in more detail about everything so people will know exactly what is going on in your what went on in your life and how you could overcome it too.
That's true.
Because people don't think they can overcome anything when they can. You have all the power in the world.
You do.
Yes.
Man,
Oh yes. Mind will woof, it'll hurt you. It'll hurt you so bad. You just gotta get yourself together mentally.
yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you again for being on the podcast show. I really, really appreciate you so much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye bye.